My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Metaverse Insider. Let's get into it today with Mr. Kyle Willson. Coming in, we're going to break it down together here. Kyle, this is going to be a good one. How are you?
Yeah, Paul, happy to be on today and excited to get into this.
Let's start off with the Infinity Gauntlet. Stay on VEVE for a moment. And first of all, just for everybody, I've kind of, and I'll claim this publicly, I've started to recoil back away from VEVE, in the words of acquiring new collectibles there. I'm looking at other platforms. So I'm looking at maybe disposing of my VEVE collectibles. But explain Infinity Gauntlet to me. How does it all work? What's all the hoo-ha about?
Yeah, the Infinity Gauntlet is an interesting, dynamic here on the app. I mean, could be some potential there in terms of the crafting. So it looks like they have dropped a lot of the different items in the Infinity Gauntlet series or the Infinity War series here, like the Scepter, Tesseract, and so on. And of course, when the crafting comes in, you'll have to sacrifice these NFTs and burn them in order to acquire other stones, like, for example, the Soul Stone, where you'll actually have to burn a select Marvel NFT. And they have a kind of a list currently of some of the different NFTs you can actually burn for the Soul Stone. But you'll need to essentially, they'll be dropping the Infinity Gauntlet, and you'll have to craft each stone and put it into the Infinity Gauntlet as well in order to complete the Infinity Gauntlet. So this is all very interesting, something new in terms of what VEVE's doing. We've kind of seen a little sneak peek in terms of the platinum moment kind of drop scenario and their posters around the potions, for example. But this is an actual crafting experience. So this one's kind of an interesting dynamic, how it could play out. If you're able to kind of front run some of these things or get into some of these positions kind of early. And now, of course, some of these prices have already ran, and people with the expectation of getting the Thanos and the Thanos secret rare as well, with the Eye of Agamotto secret rare.
So do you feel like this is worth it right now with what the way it's playing out, and whether or not, long term VEVE's, I guess, tangibility in being a long term platform out there? Is it worth collecting Thanos right now?
Yeah, I think, if you are not wanting to go through all the crafting, I think, the best thing to do is just maybe go into the secondary market and pick him up, especially we're kind of in crypto winter. You may have to pay a little bit of a premium for him, but I do think, even though that VEVE, been slow to roll out a bunch of features and they haven't been performing as well in terms of the tech side, I think there could be a long-term potential for Thanos, just because it is Thanos and complete with an Infinity Gauntlet. So I do see a little bit of opportunity there if the market presents it, especially in the secondary. But personally, I don't know if I'll be crafting these. We'll see. But for example, the Eye of Agamotto has ran up in price quite a bit, especially the secret rare, because technically you get two Thanoses with that secret rare Eye of Agamotto, according to their documents there. So they did give out dates, thankfully, here. The Soul Stone crafting begins like May 6th, for example, and the Infinity Gauntlet drops May 13th. So they did give out solid dates, and you have you'll have June 10th to craft the stones into the gauntlet and receive the Thanos airdrops, depending on which, Eye of Agamotto you have currently. So,
all right, Kyle, so let's get a quick update on Veveverse.
Yeah, so the Veveverse, again, it appears from their community update, kind of the same news we've been seeing. I mean, they did give us a little bit of a sneak peek, which looks similar to the Decon, demo that they originally showcased. So it doesn't look like anything really new. I think we saw the Aston Martin in there, so maybe they are kind of waiting for more IP. And of course, the DeLorean is there as well. But we could be in a situation where they're maybe waiting on more IP to give the green light to actually be in the Veveverse. But they have showcased DCs in there and some brands, but they've been very, very slow to roll that out, and even the beta testers as well. So kind of time will tell. It's another kind of soon scenario situation here as well. So we're still kind of waiting for that kind of beta access or who's got access to it. Currently, there's a very, very finite amount of people in there from what I've been told. So, we have kind of yet to see too much leaks and information from the Veveverse itself.
Yeah. Do you think this was a problem or a mistake from VV standpoint of not being able to roll this out into influencers and, just in general, being able to get this more aware to the NFT and the collectibles community?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that may be going on behind the scenes. I think it's probably a few different things, maybe some technical issues. They want more IP in the Veveverse, and maybe they want to have it a little bit more curated, and they don't have the scenes and props set up to where they want it to. And maybe they just don't want creators to have that access until they have everything figured out. So I think maybe there's a couple of issues and things that they're working on in the background. So kind of time will tell. Hopefully, we'll get more information. I don't think we will in terms of what's kind of the holdup of the actual beta access. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I'm kind of seeing, at least from the community standpoint.
I want to go into kind of the scorecard model. So first, we're going to present how we're going to rank these and how the score works, so everybody understands. Again, this is NFT Collectibles, so, the platforms. So we're going to look at several attributes here: IP quality, so that's brand quality and quantity; prices, that'll include mint amounts, royalties, fees, etc. I'm going to read all these because in case some of you guys are listening in on the podcast. Interoperability, self-custody. This will include display options, Web3 education, new feature rollout, frequency and quality, gamification fun. This will be everything from opening, pack opening animations, rank rewards, etc. Accessibility, onboarding, simplicity, multi-device support. That'll be a big one. NFT drop frequency, including the marketing hype around those. The creator economy, this will include indie artists, creator incentives, kind of the fun around that. And then last is the community sentiment. So platform and leadership, trust and love. So 1 is going to be the worst score, poor, and then 10 will be perfect. So we're going to get right into it, and let's go into the VEVE NFT platform scorecard, and let's take a look at, and this of course was done by Kyle, our research team, and we've had a chance to kind of take a look at these and give some scores. So IP quality, I don't think anybody would argue that, pretty high at 10 right there. Obviously the weak areas, Kyle, kind of rundown. Do you think this is, your thoughts on this? Because I know you were part of this, but not necessarily all inclusive in bringing the research together. Do you agree with this ranking?
Yeah. Obviously, with the IP and the quality, it's hard to argue. Like you said, prices kind of have been a little suspect. Even some of the OGs, I'm in a lot of different chats and get a lot of the different sentiment from all around the community. And prices kind of been just a little wonky there. Especially they had a little bit of quality issues from time to time on some of the collectibles. So it would be, nice to see those prices kind of come down as we'll get through some of these platforms that have more of that more lower price points for consumers out there, especially in these type of market conditions. And of course we have other factors like interoperability, self-custody. VV obviously slow to roll those out, giving us timelines, literal dates. It'll be coming out in 2 weeks and it's been like a year. So of course low ranking there, and kind of the list goes on as we go through this these different different gradings here.
Pros and cons, you look at Disney, obviously one of the key attributes of VV. Desktop mobile, obviously, and then Veveverse, if it gets rolled out, that would be still a pro. As far as cons, what outside of the one that I complain about often is the leadership direction, especially when you look at the roadmap and how they've rolled this out. Any other areas that you feel like are kind of the con areas for VV?
Yeah. There's obviously a couple of them. I think community sentiment and really keeping the community involved, engaged is very important. Now, I know there's like super diehards out there, but again, we're talking about a wider space and you're seeing competitors and different platforms move in. So I think that is kind of a concern, especially these other platforms launching really well. You see even their collectibles at a higher quality level as well. So I think that's kind of one of the other cons I kind of see as well. Obviously, the new features and rollout situation, they've kind of backtracked on some of these features and rollouts, and even scrapped old OUP to kind of merge it with the MCP, which is fair and fine. But we don't have too many details on what that's going to look like or how that's going to affect the Master Collectors program in itself. So it's kind of like the game has shifted completely, and you kind of have to relearn and rethink how you're going to collect on the app itself. So it can leave a little the community guessing what to do on the app. So that's definitely one of the cons. And again, this is a current snapshot of the current, kind of sentiment and reality of the VEVE platform.
Interesting. All right. So, I mean, I think, overall with VEVE, I'd also say, or throw into that, on the con side, quality control and slow development, as an aspect. And I think that kind of goes with the platform itself, with what we've talked about before. Let's take a look at Candy. Candy's scorecard, IP quality up there around 6. Nothing super high performing, because you've got interoperability, new feature rollout, gamification, all ranking in our awareness pretty low. Creator economy and even community sentiment, not necessarily. This one just seems like a platform that's just not going anywhere. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it feels a little stagnant there. IP, they could do more with that. I think there's not enough interest really in the macro for a platform like Candy yet. I think they could do well long term if they, iterate a little bit more and really kind of market their platform a little bit more. I know they've been, Netflix and baseball, MLB. Yeah. So there's kind of like those like core, kind of collectible aspects to it. But again, in these current market conditions, it's been a little stagnant. Haven't seen too much action over here. Prices are just okay. And I think I don't know if they're on Palm, but I think they're on Palm or some kind of platform like that using their blockchain. But features, haven't seen too many features, a little gamification there again, but we'll see where this platform goes. It could still do well. They may have connections on the back end from their team in terms of IP. IP obviously can lift the project and platform as a whole. Yeah. So I'll kind of give a wait and see on this one, even though it scores really low.
Yeah. I think the key there is going to be the IP. If they can really extend on that, that'll be good. I mean, because they're big IP points in terms of Netflix, MLB, et cetera, could go in there. Let's jump over to McFarlane. I look at them and I feel like this is one that could really get serious quickly. A lot happening. Obviously, a legacy brand here, kind of coming into the space. They've got, the virtual space already playing out, and they've also put a lot in terms of roadmap going forward. So their most valuable attribute right now, ranking number 7, is interoperability and self-custody, which I think those are key things in the NFT collectible space. To me, that feels like just table stakes these days. Why aren't we seeing more platforms doing this?
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like, it could be leadership here from McFarlane. Todd, he's in, if you look at his actual physical toy line, where he's meeting consumers where they're at, like their brand is in Walmart. If you go to the Target, Walmart, you'll see his toys in almost every Walmart and store in America. So from a perspective like that, I think he might have a different outlook on how he wants to drop the NFTs on his platform, which is pretty exciting because, again, meeting the consumer where they're at, allowing them to do what they want with their collectibles. I think that's from a leadership standpoint, where they really do very well at this current moment. Right out of the gates, allowing that interoperability, showcasing your NFTs on different platforms and inside your own wallet. So I think that's very important to a lot of people.
Yeah, and they've kicked off, community sentiment pretty high, obviously, because I think the legacy brand itself brings it into it, just the quality of the IP. That automatically, I think you get a little bit of points scored just because of that alone. Do you think they can accelerate that, though, in the coming, months and years for what their platform could be in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Todd McFarlane, very well known in the collectible space. He's very famous, for doing artwork. The Todd Batman, for example, which is a kind of this, and he's done a Spawn homage around that as well. So Todd McFarlane has a very, high reputation in the collectible community. And, obviously with VEVE, the Todd Batman, but he's created his own platform. So I think there's a lot of credibility here in terms of, what McFarlane has done and the IP he has actually in terms of his physical toys, has partnershiped with before. So if you look at his website, you can see all the different brands he currently has and that he could bring to the platform on McFarlane Toys. You look at the quality level and the quality bar that they've really set on his platform, and it is very, very high quality. So definitely setting kind of a standard in the space, and I think that's important too.
Yeah, well, with only Spawn right now, but again, the capability of really expanding that IP. All right, so let's jump over to DC NFT, and this is Palm Studio. Take a look at them. Again, IP quality, pretty high ranking, prices decently, also community sentiment, also ranking fairly high overall. Again, interoperability, self-custody, that's the problem that a lot of these platforms really face. New feature rollouts, and then gamification. To me, that's the one thing, if you're going to say you got to have it, at least for the future, you've got to have gamification. Again, why do you think we're not seeing more focus like that from a lot of these platforms?
Yeah, I think as time goes on, we'll see some of these platforms build into that aspect. But it is interesting that they don't really start off with that, when I think that's one of the key aspects of making it feel a little bit more realistic, gamifying the experience and making it fun for collectors. There's other platforms like Hro that do this very, very well. Now, Palm is very interesting, obviously with the IP, the quality, it's there. They also have the connections on the back end, with WB, for example, and they could do a lot more here. And of course, this is on the Palm blockchain as well, and them actually having more control in that area too. So prices have been very great on the platform, scoring a 7 here. Community sentiment's great. They have, the BackCal community really doing spaces literally daily. So I think that's a healthy community there, and they could definitely build off of this success that they've had with the community, and really, like you said, add in gamification and that fun aspect to it long run for sure.
Yeah, interoperability, gamification, but also the Palm network, just not a great experience overall. So I think that's the challenges that they're going to be facing, not only in the short term, but maybe even in the long term. All right, next up is Virtua. And Virtua is a little different animal here. Their IP quality ranking 5. We've got interoperability and self-custody, high ranking at 7. New features rollout, that I thought was pretty decent. And then also accessibility was another factor for them, very high scoring at 7. Gamification, 2. Again, 1 to 10, guys, 1 to 10, 1 being least poor performance, 10 being best. A community sentiment. Overall, desktop, mobile, they've got Top Gun Maverick, King Kong Godzilla. So good IP here lining up, but look at the space of cons on them. What do you think about Cardano on this?
Yeah, so Cardano, not my favorite blockchain. That's one of those blockchains that has taken a long time to develop. You look at their wallets, even in their ecosystem, kind of clunky, hard to view NFTs. Definitely kind of a hit in terms of making this whole experience, great. Definitely something that they could work on there. That's kind of my view on Cardano. Obviously, Cardano has a massive, core community, and I've even, been in that community at one point too. So I definitely don't want to knock on the Cardano community, because they can actually have fun here in the Virtua through these different kind of like metaverse type of experiences that Virtua is building in, which I think could do good long term, but in the current environment, it's kind of a little bit clunky. But again, Virtua, they've had showrooms. They have I believe they have the mobile app as well. So making it a little bit easier and fun for collectors. They've had the showroom out for a very long time, and their assets tend to be on the higher quality end of the spectrum.
For me, I think if you look at just their community sentiment, when you look at Virtua overall, let's go back to that. Yeah, you see that as a 3. To me, that's the biggest opportunity for them. Being related to the Cardano blockchain, you would think that there'd be a lot of affinity from the Cardanians that would really kind of pick that up in terms of sentiment itself. So that was the one that was a little bit more disappointing. Let's jump over to HRO. Again, HRR coming in real high on IP quality, prices, and also accessibility. Not bad on the drop frequency, coming in very high score there at 6. Again, creator economy a little bit weak, and overall not bad when you look at this. DC trading cards, immutable X and interoperability, and then obviously the whole phygital thing, which is the physical digital aspect, which I think is one of the areas that, to me, that is the evolution, much like what McFarlane will do, what Nike's doing with Artifact, et cetera. That's really the future of where these collectibles are going. Your thoughts on them in terms of their weaknesses?
Yeah, weaknesses. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of, like the creator economy, for example. A couple different points there. They need more IP, I think, to really help them out there. Different premium NFTs maybe, and the content creator community as well, pushing out more content, more involvement there. So definitely some room to improve for HRO, but overall, not really a bad platform in terms of their feature set and, in-app trading feature, the chat feature. So definitely some pros and cons to this, this platform, but overall, not too bad of a platform.
No AR features right now. You do think that's going to make a difference with some of these platforms going forward, as being able to advance up into some of the augmented reality?
Yeah, I mean, HRO could definitely do more. I don't see why not in terms of some of these assets that they're dropping. That's mainly a trading card platform with a physical card that you can scan in and it mints the NFT to immutable X. So they could definitely do some more here, and hopefully they'll get some more IP as well to kind of help their platform out. I think that would do a lot of justice on kind of both ends of what they're doing.
Wax is coming in here. Go on a heroic adventure. And then, of course, you've got IP quality very high, prices very high, and then pretty decent on NFT drop frequency and community sentiment. But again, gamification here not performing well, and obviously interoperability and self-custody is another ding on them. With this being the case, Wax, one of the OGs of the space itself, plus their IP strength really going forward, they don't have a lot. We probably should get Bill Quigley back on soon, because he kind of leads this initiative. They don't have a lot of areas that they have to improve on much to really be able to score really high. If they could get gamification just up to, say, a 4 or 5, that would be significant. Get to some sort of self-custody, huge, and then they drop in, things like accessibility and creator economy. This could be a winner. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they have Funko as well, dropping some significant kind of brands as well on the Wax blockchain, and their UI kind of has struggled a little bit too. And I think these are mainly like third-party marketplaces kind of UI. But like you said, the gamification part would be a good aspect. Some of that is built into the Funko side, but if more platforms add that in, I think that could be something that could definitely add. I really do love their price points. This is something I would like more to see in the NFT space in general, is that, meeting the consumer where they're at, especially on the collectible front, making it just affordable for people. I think that's great. The marketplace is already going to generate fees anyways. So there's no reason to jack up these prices on these NFTs. So I really do appreciate what Wax is doing on the price end.
Good point. Recur's platform comes in IP quality kind of mid-range, interoperable self-ability, their highest ranking from us, and then new feature rollout 4s, but kind of middle of the road here. Not necessarily a barnstormer. They've got Paramount, Nickelodeon. Star Trek was, I think, a good one, and obviously being fully interoperable is another big feature there, but some of their issues right now on drops and areas like that, it just feels like this, it just doesn't, I mean, there's so much opportunity here because of the IP side, but at the same time, it seems like this one really needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they definitely need to add in some more IP. The drop, kind of frequency has been very, very slow. Their interoperability has been pretty good in terms of, you can obviously self-custody right out of the gates pretty much. They do have a little bit of a gamification in there, but is it really enough to kind of keep collectors collecting? And I think that's definitely like an area they can improve in and keep really everybody involved. It's a little bit of a fractured system too. So they build in kind of like these one-off branded experiences, but it'd be nice to kind of, access their different, brands and IPs from a central place as well. And I think that's another area they can improve in. And creator economy kind of scoring, one of the lowest here as well. So, there's a lot to be improved upon on here. They did generate a lot of hype initially around some of these launches, and I think they need to capitalize upon that a little bit more, and have something on the back end to keep people interested and have more of that sticky experience.
Yeah, for sure. Leaping over to one of the stars is Quidd, and I know we get blamed for being Quidd shills. Quidd shill. We don't shill anything for Quidd. So just to be clear, but if you look at their platform in general, I mean, overall, they hit on a lot of markers that are important, at least to, I think, most NFT collectibles, collectors. Prices very high in terms of value there. New feature rollout, to me, this is another big factor that's going to play into this. Gamification, one of the highest scores out there at a 5. Still a lot of work to do, but accessibility, NFT drop frequency pretty high, and even community sentiment. So they're hitting on markers across the board. Their IP quality is their weak spot. If you think about it, you've got Animoca Brands tied into this. What do you think the potential is here for them grabbing some really good IP in the coming, say, 12 months?
Yeah, I think it's pretty high because, again, we're talking about Quidd. They've been around for a very, very long time, dropping, digital collectibles before they were actually NFTs, before NFTs really got popular. So they've been around for a very long time, and have kind of a core community already built. Prices is what I really love about this platform. And of course, again, meeting the consumer where they're at. And they've already had like that collector mindset already. And in terms of their IP, they can definitely do a lot of damage here. If they pick just even one major IP, kind of like what we've seen recently with Cryptoys, is that could do a lot of service and a lot of damage in terms of bumping that bar up and really giving them a better position in the space. But yeah, prices, I think a lot of platforms have struggled with that, but Quidd has been obviously stellar there. And looking at their interoperability, self-custody, where they have built that feature right into their platform, and even different experiences like the sandbox, they have actually improved quite a bit since the inception. So very, very impressed with what they're doing over there.
Yeah, the only scenario is, for their mentables, non-mentables still kind of dominate the app. So that in itself kind of goes away from, at least what we're trying to do is score it. Flowverse is another one that we're tracking. And again, they kind of hit a home run on IP quality, a decent on the features rollout, and also on NFT drop frequency, pretty good on creator economy and sentiment. Again, gamification scoring low, so I think a lot of them really have an opportunity, but you've got potentially meta integration. They're going after a demographic of, kind of the female and children audience, which I think will be good. And obviously with Barbie, Hot Wheels, all that kind of stuff tied into Top Shots. Dr. Seuss is in here, NFL's in here, UFC. I mean, this to me feels like a home run waiting to happen. But again, interoperability always kind of spoils the cake.
Yeah, and I think some of these platforms will change. Blockchains, Flow, Wax, and Palm. I think we'll see iterations and changes and updates to their blockchain. For example, Palm, you can add it to MetaMask. You can't really do anything with it, but I think we will see in the future that they'll add in those kind of support and self custody. But like you said, you nailed it on the head. Is they have tons of IP. Dapper Labs being behind Flow, and how they're the OGs of the NFT space. So not too surprised with the high scores across the board here. And like you mentioned, they could definitely improve on the gamification and fun aspect, and maybe rewarding collectors in the macro sense as well.
Yeah, the fact that they got the Cryptoys connection, with Star Wars, I think is going to be, well, it just shows the IP quality. Their ability to attract great IP is going to be huge. And when you're in the collectible space and you think about the ability to really roadmap out growth, because this to me is going to start to set the standard for the industry around NFT collectibles, utility, the loyalty aspect around many of these communities, which is going to be huge. And if you just follow those and the different platforms that we've shown so far that have been able to do that, if you look at IP quality and then that bottom score, community sentiment, and you feed it enough, which they're doing a really good job with the drop frequency, now you have the perfect, to me, it's like the perfect storm that can really, accelerate, because then they can really start drawing in a lot more new IP. So all they got to fix is gamification, and I think they'll be in there pretty quickly. So cool stuff. All right, let's go to our next one, and that's going to, of course, take a look at Artifact, which to me is still, and .Swoosh, which still is, I think this is the industry standard that everybody's trying to reach to. IP quality off the charts at 9. Obviously, their community sentiment over literally at full tilt. Creator community excellent. You've got drop frequencies could be improved, but feature rollouts and then interoperability and self custody. This comes in as really the number one platform out there when it comes to digital collectibles. I can't think of anything else that I would be investing into right now in this space. Maybe some stuff on Quidd, but right now, for the most part, and maybe on Flow even, but for the most part, I would still say that Artifact has got pretty much the market. It's theirs to lose. What are they doing wrong here? Anything?
Yeah, I think mainly it's just the price point. Of course, you still have like really expensive NFTs. They could definitely improve in that area, but we're seeing them roll out like the creator studio and kind of that creator economy. So maybe we'll see, more affordable NFTs and we'll see more iterations. But I think we're so early here that they obviously have so much demand. It's limited on purpose. Obviously, we even saw LeBron James wearing some of the Artifact shoes and things like that. So they are building a lot of momentum. I mean, this is definitely a juggernaut in the making. So it's pretty exciting to watch them grow in the initial stages and kind of come to this fruition of all what they have been doing over the past few years with the studio, the shoes, the collabs, the swoosh.Nike, and various aspects, even being on GTC with NVIDIA, working on the avatar side, possible integration with AI there. I feel that they're just at the, they're just at the tech pinnacle of what's going on in the space and what they're doing. So pretty exciting platform to watch for sure.
Well, and the fact that they have been able to leverage into LeBron James, you look at the culture aspect, and this is something that Yatsu has said on our show before with Animoca Brands, is that culture is what's going to drive the evolution of NFTs, especially collectibles, when it comes to this. And if you look at the Artifact and the Nike communities, whether you think sneakerheads, but you could also look at a whole new evolution of digital collectibles, because I think there's going to be some gamification that eventually will roll out into this, okay? And even better than what they've done so far, because I still think it's good, but as we start to see interoperability really kind of amp up in terms of use case, this could be pretty cool in the future. Obviously, we're showing some stuff on CloneX tied into this, so I think that's another one of the key elements that makes this such a great program. The other thing is, I think it's just a matter of maybe months before they launch a mobile app, because this just feels like it's ready for a good mobile experience, which would leap this one way up the charts, maybe get to the point where we could see a lot of domination in the NFT space.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you nailed it on the head, is the accessibility, like that could be coming down the road. And just to see what they're doing, it seems like they just have a good grasp of where everything is going on, not only a societal basis and a culture aspect, but really on a tech aspect and understanding the macro of where tech and where consumers are going. And I feel like they have one of the best grasps and understanding on those different, kind of macro kind of sense of things.
Yeah. I was on another interview today, and we got talking about culture and kind of this evolution of Gen Alpha, which is, you have Alpha, Zoomers, and then Millennials. And one of the things that we got into, and I think this is very relevant to Artifact, is that there's a culture coming through the under 24s demographics that's really migrating to a lot of these digital experiences, that they really only are going to begin to know this kind of thing, much like the digital natives of the millennials that only knew the world of internet. I think we're entering a next generation of demographics, especially in this Zoomer and alpha stage of demos, that are going to apply directly into this, especially as it integrates into gaming. Obviously, the culture aspect, I think, is just, it's going to hit it on the head for sure. Artifact's going to be a massive brand for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, I think you hit it on the head there again, too. It's just like watching the macro. You're seeing where gamers, streamers, and content creators are going. This is what excites them.
Yeah,
When there's, especially during times where you're either working from home now, and that's really a lot of the economy now is driven by, remote workers,
yeah,
especially post pandemic and things like that. So yeah, again, I think that it's a no brainer, especially for the younger demographics, to adopt some of these things, especially as Artifact are rolling out digitals. It just makes sense to kind of like own a digital that gives you access to a literal physical
exactly.
shoe as well. So to me, this is a no-brainer. Especially, we're going to see avatars. People want to, express
Huge.
themselves, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for sure there.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, it's good to catch up. Hopefully you guys are out there. You'll share some of these. We'll probably tweet a few of these scorecards. I'm sure we'll run this out on social and try to get this out there. But share this video, because this is a great way for people who are just maybe entering the space of understanding the NFT collectibles platforms that are available and all of their pros and cons that we've found in working with many of these projects, but also with our own research. So make sure and share that. And if you're not in the Diamond Circle, get in there as well. But anyway, Kyle, great to have you on today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be on today, and we'll see you next time.
All right. All right, as I said, get into the Diamond Circle. It's easy and it's free. All you have to do is click the link down below. And of course, if you have a platform that you think, maybe, Paul, we didn't score it correctly, let us know. Drop it down in the comments. Is there one in here that you think maybe is a sleeper? Give me your feedback, because we always love to really understand what the audience thinks, but also maybe there's something you're catching that we're not. So I'd love to get your feedback. And of course, if you want to reach me, it's out there on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on Metaverse Insider.